Hey guys, we've got an emergency update here about Hurricane Milton. It's now a Category 4 and it looks like it's going to strengthen into a Category 5 within the next 24 hours, most likely. So here we go. This event was still a Category 3. We'll start there. This is the path it's looking to go on, which would put it directly across Tampa Bay and Central Florida. Residents of Central Florida are already being told to evacuate as Hurricane Milton turns toward the state. This morning, the storm is 765 miles southwest of Tampa, heading right at that city and all of Central Florida. As seen on the image above, Milton is expected to make landfall near Tampa on Wednesday, which is a day earlier than first forecast. This morning, maximum sustained winds were already at 125, and the storm is still strengthening. According to the National Hurricane Center, now get this, flash flooding will take place from south of Tampa, east to Orlando, and all the way north to Jacksonville. So that's covering a good chunk of the state, as you can see here. And that's why they're declaring emergencies in most of the counties in the state. But this is greatest flash flood risk over the next 3 days, day 1 through Tuesday morning, through Wednesday, into Thursday. The forecast storm surge in the Tampa area as the storm comes ashore is being forecast at a staggering 9 to 18 feet above normal tide. It will flood a mile inland, knocking houses off their foundations. Damage from this storm, even if it does not continue to strengthen, is already forecast to be catastrophic. Because the storm is already so large with a massive wind field, get this, that will cover almost all of Florida when it arrives. Let me say that again. A massive wind field that will cover almost all of Florida when it arrives. The state government had declared a state of emergency in 51 of Florida's 67 counties and is already telling people to evacuate. Governor Ron DeSantis is telling people to leave now while there's no traffic and to get to safety. And all would do well to heed this advice. So at 9:47 a.m. this morning, Milton has increased in strength to 150-mile-per-hour winds, making it a strong Category 4 hurricane. And here's the official announcement from the Weather Center in Miami. So this has been an incredible intensification, they're saying, because a steady intensification rate for a hurricane is a pressure drop of 1 millibar per hour, they say. Milton has dropped 9 millibars in the past 60 minutes. This is at the upper echelon of recorded pressure drop rates in Atlantic Basin hurricanes, well, since Wilma in 2005, apparently. So it may become a Category 5 later today, or within 24 hours, I've seen on other sites. There you go. If you're in the path of this thing, get to safety. Whatever you got to do, get to safety. And I'll still be praying for this area like I've never prayed before. Wow. I'm at a loss for words, guys. We're in the end times, and we're at the end of this age. This is the Great Tribulation. One thing after another. Rapid fire, just like the Lord's been telling me for the last 3 years. This is how it was going to end up. One thing going on after another. Wars, earthquakes, famines, pestilences. It's all going on right now, isn't it? And we know what the pestilences are caused by. But the Lord's allowing all this to happen, whether mankind is using their weapons or not. This is the Lord's plan that's unfolding. And worldwide Armageddon is right behind it too, but we're going to cover that in a different video. And while we've heard a lot about Asheville, North Carolina and the horrible tragedy unfolding there, still, we have what remains here of Irwin, Tennessee after the Hurricane Helene flooding aftermath. Check this out. And that's all throughout the Southeast, the American Southeast, Florida, all the way up through Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee. Tragic. And they're not letting people help, as we know. So as John Rappaport says here, in order to help hurricane victims, maybe you should print some money, USOBs. The arrogant frozen insect, Alejandro Macoras, head of Homeland Security at sub-agency FEMA, is suddenly following the straight and narrow, telling critics his agency can't free up $1 billion and change for victims of the hurricane because Congress earmarked it for foreign migrants. Yeah, as we talked about the other day. The federal government can find dollars for research on viruses that don't exist, for Ukraine, for transgenders, and for secretly flying illegals into the U.S., and for toxic medical drugs and experiments, for bringing in Venezuelan gang members, and for imposing censorship for the CDC, buying $4 billion worth of toxic you-know-whats every year, for snoozing Biden's many vacations, for credit cards and hotels for illegals, for energy windmills, and for schools that can't teach. But no, we can't have any extra cash for Americans who are sitting in the dark, eating ketchup, and trying to figure out how to drive with no gas, the stations giving out water, how to get a big tree off their destroyed roof, how to flush the toilet, how to apply to FEMA, how to call their loved ones, how to live another day, another week with no income, no electricity, no heat, and no running water. And then the rest, of course, you have to pay to read. Nonetheless, I think you get the point. I mean, yeah, sitting in the dark, eating ketchup and trying to figure out how to drive, where they're going to get their next clean drink of water, because maybe all their supplies got washed away with the house or with the shed that they headed in out back. I mean, that's the thing. How do you prepare for something like that? And I watched some of this eyewitness testimony where people said they heard this rumbling. They thought they were safe because the river was below them. What they didn't expect was the big landslide coming behind them from up further on the mountain because of the 3 feet of rain that came down in just a matter of a couple hours. You know, who can prepare for that? Who expected anything like that? Well, as we always say, we need to expect the unexpected. And that's why I always say prayed up first, prepped up second, because you can't prepare for every scenario. It's really tough to prepare for something like that. So, like it says here, it's our Hurricane Katrina. This is from the Epic Times. Asheville residents describe death, destruction, danger after Hurricane Helene. This is another subscription I pay for, guys. This is how I get you some of this news, and this is a really good report. I'm going to put it up over on the website, don'tspeaknews.com, so you can link to it from there. And then you should be able to read it for free, as it's part of a newsletter. But anyway, if not, then I guess it didn't work, but that's what I'm going to try and do today. But Asheville residents have no running water, electricity, homeless shelters are full with wait lists, and authorities are warning of crime and lootings. And like I said, the destruction is just everywhere. And Michael keeps telling me it looks like an atomic bomb went off. Tunnel Road is a major thoroughfare between Asheville and Sewanee Valley in western North Carolina. Before Hurricane Helene, hundreds of cars would cross the bridge en route to downtown Asheville. Cottages in the Blue Ridge Mountains or Interstate 40 headed east or west. Well, that bridge is now blocked. The wreckage of an entire house is on top of it, deposited by the swell of flooding. He said, "You see a house on top of a bridge. That picture speaks 1,000 words," said U.S. Army physician Colonel Alan Queen, an assistant incident commander of military personnel deployed for disaster relief at the scene of the bridge. Queen, whose hometown is Asheville, told the Epic Times that the flood caused by Hurricane Helene were the worst in more than 100 years. Even the great flood of 1916, which killed 80 people, was not as bad as this, he says. I imagine not. That bridge is just one of many scenes of destruction visible in western North Carolina. Storefronts have been blasted open as if from an explosion, cars are upturned in ditches of muddy water, and tractor trailers are mangled across roads and railways. And so I'll leave it from there. I'll let you read the rest on your own, but I think you get the idea. We've seen the absolute devastation and destruction in all kinds of videos and pictures by now. But this is a very thorough article, very well written, thought out. But wow, guys. The other day, somebody's asked me, how can other people in the country be so cold as to what's going on in the Southeast? And I refer them to Matthew 24:12 of the Because iniquity shall abound, or lawlessness and wickedness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, and that's what's going on right now. And everybody's overwhelmed in all different parts of the country. Out west here, we've had wildfires like you couldn't believe, as you've seen all summer long. And they're still going on. They're still ongoing. So it's happening. The entire country's under judgment in one way or another. And we're all suffering with it one way or another. And of course, we're constantly being sprayed and everything else. Everybody is stressed out to the max, and so the love of many is just wax cold. There's lawlessness everywhere. And everybody's just kind of had enough. And the world just doesn't understand what's going on. They don't understand the times that we're in, and they don't have any hope. That's what's really terrible. Imagine not believing in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and knowing that you have hope in your eternal life with Him. Imagine not having that hope. Imagine facing all this without that hope, without the promise of everlasting life. Wow. I couldn't imagine going through this without that reassurance. Nonetheless, that's the way the world is. They don't understand it. They can't understand it. And they're not going to understand what's coming next. Revelation 6, starting in verse 12. When he opened the sixth seal, I looked, behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. The full moon became like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth, as the fig tree sheds its winter fruit when shaken by a gale. The sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. And the kings of the earth, and the great ones, and the generals, and the rich, and the powerful, and everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains, calling to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him who is seated on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath is come, and who can stand? Indeed, who can stand? That's coming soon, guys. This is what I was told to tell you today when I prayed this morning about what direction I should go in. He said, when you finish your episode today, finish it with this, and tell them that this is coming soon, and a lot sooner than they think. And they better be ready, and they better have oil in their lamps, because the great and terrible day of the Lord is almost upon you. When he returns, guys, that's it. There's no second chances. And he's coming back soon. That's what he wants you to know. Along with, of course, warning you about all this. That's it for now. Don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com, home base for everything that we do. Got over 2,000 stories here that you can check out and look at. Most of them we can't report on anywhere else. That's why we have the website here at don'tspeaknews.com. I'll put the links up as always right here. And that's it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.